A British 21-year-old solo female traveler has gone missing while visiting Cambodia. And I want to start this video by saying I hope she is found safe. I hope she was just lost. But we're going to get pretty serious. We're going to get rather pessimistic. And I got to say, it's getting harder and harder for me to have sympathy for a lot of these people. There are a lot of YouTube channels about, traveling the world, solo travelers. There was one woman who went to Syria and Pakistan. Forbes wrote an article. The title was something like "Pakistan is a must-go for solo female travelers." And I gotta say, I'm a bit offended by this. Okay, I want there to be more good in the world, but I also recognize there's a lot of bad in the world, and there are a lot of people who see these things online. These stories about these wonderful, beautiful trips that don't put what's actually happening in context. Whether or not someone has a security detail, whether or not someone even got vaccines and inoculations for the various parts of the world. Yes, when I've traveled working for Vice, I had to get like 4 shots in one day to travel to certain parts of the world. You can get diseases. Vaccinate your kids, by the way. So now we have the story of a British backpacker, 21, who went missing. Well, it turns out she was Google searching solo female travel and all this stuff. Listen, man, traveling is fun, all right? And I would love it if everyone could do it. But there's so much fear around telling the truth when it comes to the differences in identity and feminism and sexism and all that stuff, that people are avoiding very serious and real questions. They're not showing people what's actually going on. And now we're getting story after story of backpackers and hikers being kidnapped or worse. Listen, this story is one of the potentially tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of solo travelers. And it may be that overwhelmingly you will be safe and fine. But the reason I do this, the reason I talk about these stories and highlight the real dangers, okay, this woman is missing, is because we are inundated by stories about people who do these wonderful adventures with no repercussions. And if that's the only thing we get in the news, you will end up with young women going online and searching for solo female travel because they saw a YouTube video and then thinking it is safe to travel alone in Cambodia. It's not. I've been around the world. I've been in very dangerous places. I am an adult man. I can fight. I can defend myself. And even I had to take extreme security precautions in many of these countries. Morocco was a hoot. Egypt was scary. In Egypt, we thought bad stuff was going to happen in Egypt. In Brazil, I had undercover cops detain me in a back room with no windows, and we thought we were going to get beaten up. Fortunately, they figured out who we were at the last minute and came in apologizing. I don't know what they thought or what they were planning on doing to us, bringing us into this weird shed. It was like a building in the back with no windows, and in order to get into it, you had to duck under some weird structure and then go into this door into this white room with just a couch, and we were like, what is happening? And they took our phones, they turned our phones, they eventually gave our phones back. But this stuff is real life, man, okay? There are dirty cops, there are crooked cops, there are dirty soldiers, there are criminals, there are smugglers, there are drugs. You cannot just go to Cambodia by yourself. Man, this frustrates me to no end, okay? When we would sit down in these meetings, we'd be like, hey, we were looking at going to Phnom Penh. We're looking at going to, I believe that's where she was originally going. We were looking at going to Cambodia and other countries, and we had to call a company and say, give us the intel in the area, what's happening, what we can expect, what are the crime rates, what areas should we avoid, what can't we eat? I kid you not. You need to learn, when you're going to these places, about what you can drink or eat. This is not a game. I got very, very sick in Brazil. I got very, very sick in Turkey. This is reality. Instead, you get these people looking at these videos that are edited to make everything. You know what, man? YouTube has this habit. People on YouTube, they love making these super happy travel videos where people are like, they do these vlogs. And it's a known fact now that most of these vlogs, they hide the negative. Well, negativity is a real thing, man. There's a balance in the universe. You have people who make YouTube videos where they're like, everything is awesome. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there's a video of them like pale face with dark rings around their eyes next to their girlfriend or boyfriend going, we just can't do this anymore. We can't take it. And it's because these videos you watch online, they don't show you what's truly, it's not news. It's not journalism. They're not sharing with you the truth. They're sharing with you the highlight reel to make you think the world is magical. And I hear you, man. Like, I feel you. The people who do this kind of content, You know, the world is fairly boring in a lot of ways. And in order to get people to watch, you need to inspire them and make them think, they're seeing something magical. In reality, I'll give you an example of so Casey Neistat, for instance. If you're not familiar, probably the vlogger, right? Now, he doesn't do this. I'm not criticizing him. He does show an overly positive, view of his vlogs and stuff, but he does show his work. He does talk about it. And I think what he does here in the US, it's okay. But what he shows in his videos is that often he'll go outside, put the camera down, press record, walk back inside, then film himself walking out. You see, the point is, Casey is making a show. When you see a video of him walking out of his building and hopping on his board and riding away, it's because he set all of that up. It wasn't a natural phenomenon. It is a fictional edit. He had to walk outside first. So that little thing you didn't see. It's the little things we don't talk about when we travel the world, okay? When we make a documentary on, say, like Thailand or something, we don't start the video by saying, okay, so here's who we called, here's what we did, because we're not doing a background on the process. I think we should. I aim to do that more. It's part of what we're focusing on. But for Vice and for other outlets, they're trying to tell a story not about them, but about what's happening in, say, Cambodia. People see these videos. They see this magical rainbow world, and they think, wow, Cambodia is so beautiful. Yeah, it's called an advert, dude. Somebody paid them to make a video to promote the tourist destination in a very dangerous place because they want money. Now listen, I hope this young woman makes it out okay. Let's read a little bit of the story, because I could rant on this for 800 years. A 21-year-old British gap year student has disappeared while traveling alone through dense forests in Cambodia. I am sorry, man. At a certain point, I just don't have sympathy for some of these people. But you know what? I don't blame her. She's young. She was excited. She wanted to travel. I don't think there's any individual or person at fault. I think our culture is at fault. She was traveling alone through dense forests in Cambodia? What did you think was going to happen, man? Amelia Bambridge from Worthing was traveling alone for the first time on the island of Koh Rong in the southwest of mainland Cambodia. She was last seen at a party on Police Beach, 40 minutes away from her hostel, and at 3 a.m. on Wednesday. The former Brighton, Hove, and Sussex sixth form student was due to check out of her youth hostel at noon yesterday to leave the island later in the afternoon with a friend. But her handbag, which had her purse, phone, and bank cards in it, was found on the beach after a party on Wednesday night. Her passport is still at the hostel, the Nest Beach Club said. Okay, I hope she simply tripped in the forest. I hope she's lost, fell down, maybe she got hurt. I don't want to wish harm on her, but it is substantially better that she's just got a broken ankle somewhere in the woods yelling for help. But think about it. She's 40 minutes away from her hostel. Her purse and everything was left on the beach. So did she just get up and walk away from her purse? No one was sitting there? Listen, you're on the beach with your belongings, especially in a foreign country. You don't just leave your bag, get up, and walk away for whatever reason. You have somebody watch it. It's possible she was with somebody and they were watching it, she never came back and they left. I don't know. But if she was with a friend, I guess she was traveling alone, they would have said, hey, she never came back, and called the police right away. That's not what happened, I guess. I don't know. It was found on the beach. You know what that sounds like to me? I hate to be a pessimist, man, because the story, she's still missing, is a relatively new story. It sounds like she was taken, okay? They left her stuff. But, actually, let me walk that back a little bit. I'd imagine if someone was taken, they'd take her stuff, too. So I can't tell you. And I think we all just want to hope that she tripped in the woods, sprained her ankle or something, and she'll be found safe and sound. She has been declared officially missing by local authorities. Worried mother Linda Bambridge, 52, is now taking an emergency flight to the island to join a search party of concerned locals and police. I'm just so frustrated, man. We have so many millennials who were never disciplined. They were never. I don't mean beaten. I mean like discipline. Stand at attention, understand the realities of the world, be responsible. And so what happens is they think the world is theirs. Everything belongs to them. What's yours is mine. They think they can just go to Cambodia. Listen, man, it may have been I don't know, Cambodia has a giant jaguar or something, just snatched her up and is taking her off into the wilderness. I have no idea. But it's crazy to me to think, even in the US, you can go missing. What makes you think you can travel alone through dense forests in Cambodia? Where are your parents? I guess I had the benefit of growing up on the south side of Chicago, where it was rough and tumble, where most of us were poor, a lot of people were on drugs, and I've lived in these places and seen the dangers, seen reality, gang fights, all that stuff. And so I think, man, if it was that dangerous in a city, what must it be like in the middle of the woods? Yeah, there's bears. You get killed by a bear. You can get bitten by a possum, get rabies or something. But man, I'll tell you what, the most dangerous predator of them all, human beings. So in the US, fortunately, we have a lot of laws and cultural standards, and these things are, to an extent rare. But guess what? Some people break the law. They're criminals. Now, what makes you think you can go into the middle of the woods in Cambodia? Man, I just don't understand, But I will say this. There's these ideas, these passions, this is a learning moment. This young woman, everything she's done, I hope she's found safe. And I hope after the fact, she starts speaking about, the dangers and how I think, media and the internet, we want to tell everybody they can do whatever they want. We especially tell young women, like, you can travel the world solo and go to Syria and Pakistan. I kid you not, they did that. There's a harsh reality that people need to understand. In the news business, we have to walk a very fine line because of legalities in the US. But the truth is, and they'll tell you this, if they trust you, you will not be allowed to do certain interviews if you're a man, and you will not be allowed to do certain interviews if you're a woman. They are not going to send a woman to a football match in Algeria where women are banned. You see the point? Here's the problem. If you tell a woman, you cannot do this job because you're a woman, guess what happens? You get sued. So what do you do? And that's I'm basing that off a true story. Look that up. Vice, Algeria, woman, sue, sexism, all that stuff. It's not the exact same story. I'm just making a point. There are certain stories that I wasn't allowed to do because it involved women and tribes and traditional cultures in various parts of the world. It's a reality. Now, in entertainment and media, you are allowed to discriminate when casting. But this was an interesting space where they literally said, we cannot send a woman to do this story. Okay, go take it up with the EEOC. And then what ends up happening is, I'm in Egypt, and you have a 26-year-old Dutch woman, I'll just call it gang assault, in the middle of Tahrir Square. White, blonde, what were they thinking? So, this young woman, apparently, they say that she was Google searching solo female travel. She spent the last year Googling solo female traveling, looking at pages and blogs and sorting out everything. And you know what she was seeing? She was seeing a highlight reel of positivity. When you watch these videos of me traveling, you don't see the security guy on the other side of the camera. You don't see the phone call we do with the international security firm that's monitoring various regions. You don't hear the conversation where they say, our sources on the ground in Thailand say you're going to need body armor. They don't hear that. And then I got a photo of me wearing body armor in Thailand. I'll tell you why. When I was there, somebody threw a grenade. When I was there, somebody had, I believe, I can't remember which kind of rifle, but they put a shopping bag over a rifle, and they were walking in the middle of the street with a shopping bag, and they were shooting at each other. One of the trucks we rode in had blood that we checked out had blood splatter on the ground, because while they were riding in it, cheering for the government, it was a protest conflict. Somebody chucked a grenade into it. We needed to know all of that before going to Bangkok, and Bangkok is a big tourist destination with a massive mall. It's a massive city. And I have friends who tell me, like, oh, I'm going to go. And I said, are you paying attention to the martial law and to what's going on with the government and the king and all that? And they're like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, well, maybe you should, because you might find yourself in a very, very different, dangerous situation. We went to one place where giant scaffolding was just ripped, like they damaged the bottom of it, the whole thing collapsed. And you get these young people who are like, hey, I'm just going to go to rural Cambodia and trek through the woods. Where are your parents? A serious question. Where are the parents? I think so much of what we're seeing today, so much of these problems in the US, is that parents are not teaching their kids. We got young men in crisis not going to school, staying at home. Stop pampering your kids. We got young women thinking they can go to rural Cambodia and trek through the woods by themselves. You got people going to Morocco and other countries, and they end up their lives end. And it's because no one told them, stop. The world does not belong to you. There is danger, it is real, and you need to learn how to survive. But I'll tell you what, this story, you may as well have told me this young woman walked straight into a fire. Straight into a fire. Can you walk through fire and be okay? Yeah, depending on the fire. But in this instance, it's like the risk for danger is extremely high. You Googled some stuff online and you thought, I'm going to go do that. Where were your parents to say, listen, fire burns? Do you know what you need to do if you find yourself in the middle of the woods? I'll ask you this. And you should really think about this, every one of you. Ask yourself right now, you find yourself alone in the middle of the woods. What's the first thing you need? Everyone gets it wrong. The next question, what's the second thing you need? I want you to go and Google it so that you know exactly what you have to do if you find yourself with a broken leg in the middle of the woods. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe she fell down a hill. Maybe she was going to take a leak or something, tripped, fell, hurt her foot, now she's stuck. Okay, what's the first thing you got to do? You need to look that up. On my phone, I have like 5 different survival guides. Not because I ever expect to be lost out in the wilderness, but because I will be, I don't want to swear. I would be unhappy if I was forced to rely on anyone other than myself. Responsibility starts with you. And as they say, chance favors the prepared, or luck favors the prepared, okay? You want to survive an accident, be it walking on a nature hike near your house, you fall down, you get lost. What do you do? But you know what we have now is the opposite of that. These people, these young people, aren't bothering to Google search, I'm going to walk in the desert. No, they watch this video where you see one person filming like they're holding their phone going like, everything's so great. You don't realize they got 2 security guys in front and a sound person in front. And it's a show, dude. It's a show. A lot of people travel solo. And if they don't take precautions, they're buying lottery tickets every time. And you can get away with it for a certain amount of time. But the problem is you get these young people who see this Google solo female travel stuff and they're like, I'm gonna go literally hike in the woods in rural Cambodia by myself. You get the point, man. I'm done. It's not the last story we're gonna hear about this. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. on the main channel. I will see you all there.